I'll talk today about a business product I wrote called ThinKiosk. This presentation isn't going to be preaching, it's really a story of the problem I saw, the market I saw for ThinKiosk, and how there really wasn't a solution out there for a free product, and why I decided to write the product that I did. I'm going to walk you through some of the features in it, but for me, this session is invaluable because I want to ask you, the experts, to give me feedback on what you can see this product being used for, what would add more functionality to it, and kind of go on from there. So, just a quick intro. My name is Andrew Morgan. I work as an architect in VDI and application delivery from Dublin. I've been doing it for about 9 years with varied success, depending on the customer you ask. I'm a big fan of Citrix products. I think everybody who's seen me on Twitter will know that. I've been using Citrix for pretty much 9 years now, and it's just a platform that I like a lot. When I'm not working on VDI or app dev, you'll probably find me gluing my fingers together. It's a very funny story, because it actually did happen. That is super glue. That was my fingers, and my wife would not give me anything to take it off until she could take a photo. That's me in a nutshell. So, in VDI, the endpoints you deploy on, finding a robust solution is perilous because you've got so many options. You've got 0 clients, you've got 10 clients, you've got laptops, you've got desktops, you've got basically you've got iDevices, aka take it Dutch, never get off. You've so many options out there that finding a robust solution for all of your deployment is just really, really tough. 10 clients are great if the use case is correct, but they are very expensive for what you're actually getting. You have to buy them in bulk if you want to cover your landscape, and the management product that sits on top is a server as well. There's training involved in that. It's just a bit of a pain. So as well as that, I mean, there are some new features in the Citrix HDX stack, like multimedia redirection, flash redirection, anything basically that requires back on the endpoint. You do require some code for it. If you try to run flash redirection on any IGL, HP, or anything less than a year ago, they won't run well. They just will not run well, unless you pay for something that is what I would consider a desktop model from a performance point of view. We're also in a global recession, so everybody is trying to save money, and a conversation I hear a lot is, I have my desktops, they're 3 years old, I don't have warranty, but I'd really like to sweat the asset rather than have to pay for the endpoint to get it. So that's really my dilemma from the initial start. So your options straight away is, you go down the thin client route, or you go down the route of recycling hardware. As I said again, it is costly to replace the desktops with thin clients. The hardware that you're going to be deploying in the thin client is always worse than what you already have on the desk. Because what you have on the desk is at least a Pentium 4 or greater, at least a gig of memory or greater, and it was working for the user before you decided to move to VDI. So that's kind of where I come from. As I said again, client hardware isn't always suitable for redirections when it's thin client based. So if you look at the recycled PC hardware, your hardware is already paid for and centrally managed. You have WSUS, you have AEPs, you have everything else. As I said, it is always a higher spec than the thin clients because the thin clients are notoriously thin. You've no lead time on orders waiting for rollout. The hardware is already on your desk. It's just a matter of getting out and using it. So the rollout time is nothing. And this one really annoys me. It's to do with a lot of thin client vendors will tout like a 7-year lifespan on the thin client. So when you buy it, you have it for 7 years. Well, you will have it for 7 years. But who can look down the VDI route and really tell, is that going to be still applicable in 7 years ago? I mean, 5 years ago, thin clients were fine. But since the Citrix HDX chip coming out, HDX redirection, you got remote effects also requiring some kind of grunt on a local machine, you cannot say in 7 years, this is going to be applicable. So for me, 3 years was always the goal for a thin client because at least you can kind of see where you're going in 3 years. So if you look at the replacing the hardware route, you do have vendors out there who can do it. You've got IGL-wise, Def and IT, and they operate on mostly a USB key based. You stick the USB key into the desktop, it turns into a thin client, but it's Linux based. So the hardware support is tough. And you'll ask a vendor like IGL, what desktops do you support? Well, we don't really support anything, but if it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, you've now got a USB key, you can't do anything with it. These are Linux-based solutions, and they suffer a lot of issues that I'm going to cover off a little later. If anybody's deployed a Linux thin client infrastructure, you'll know what I'm talking about immediately. And again, if your desktop does die, you've got a 30 quid USB key you can do nothing with. So why invest in something that is going to be written off ultimately? the last point is, for me, is something I hear from customers who have gone down this route, is the users keep sticking with the USB keys. And although they can do nothing with them, they think they can bring it home and use it as a USB key. So that's a big selling point for me as well. Don't buy a USB key, your users will just take it. So with the Linux Pixie-based solutions that you can utilize for free solutions, I mean drivers are going to be a problem all the way through. Display, network, whatever is specific about that hardware, it'll work in some cases, it will not. And unless you have a really good Linux guy internally, you're in trouble. The Pixie boot as well requires an on-site server, so immediately you need some kind of infrastructure to manage that. So for me, it's on-site support and an on-site server to manage, and you also need a Linux guy. And as this is a PXE image, multiple devices will need to share that same image unless you've got clever redirection, in which case, if you want to go down dual monitor route, slight different customizations or whatever else, it is very difficult to break out and make granular for each of the deployments to choose. The other option, of course, is configuring Internet Explorer lockdown. Now, what's his name? Dutch CTP. Wilco wrote a very good article on how to do this, but it's like 4 or 5 pages long. It is a pain in the ass to configure, and you have no control over what you can actually do to the operating system. Giving users the ability to change the resolution, keyboard settings, or anything like that. So, Internet Explorer lockdown, you can lock the Internet Explorer down to be your kiosk on your PC, but you're losing out on a lot of the functionality that a ThinKiosk will deliver you. So, I mean, you've also got the Citrix desktop lock, and I don't know whether you've looked at this one yet. It's a good solution, but it lacks granularity again. There's no support for ZMAP or video in the box. It may work, it may not. It's just the way it is. Workspace control doesn't work with desktop lock. It just grabs the first desktop or application it sees published as a desktop, and it'll connect to it. If you have multiple desktops, you have no choice of where to go. As I said, and each user has to log into the desktop themselves as well. So you've got to wait for the PC to boot, the user's got to log in, the group policies come down, the user profiles are loaded into the operating system, they move to the next desk, the next day, the operating system clouds out. You end up with PCs with hundreds of profiles. It doesn't really make sense from a ThinKiosk point of view, in my opinion. And that's really why I didn't use the Citrix desktop lock and I went down my own route. So, ultimately not happy with the solutions that were out there. I asked myself, what should a ThinKiosk offer? And for me, it was central management, ease of configuration, power management is the big one for me as well. And a one-size-fits-all that you can publish to all of your users. And each of those granular use cases, be it multiple desktops or dual screen, or I want a left-handed mouse or anything like that, you can configure. That's what I want from ThinKiosk. I also wanted my solution to provide support for the clever things in the HDX stack, like flash redirection, multimedia redirection, and a branch repeater plugin. If your customer has branch repeaters in this data center, why not leverage the free plugin? So that's what I wanted from it. I also wanted to empower users to be able to configure things themselves. So if they're a left-hander, if they want to change the mouse to their side, I don't have to push a policy for it. If they decided their resolution was too high and they like the icons too small, I wanted the user to be able to do that, not ring the help desk and bother us about it. I wanted also, if a user wants to launch just an application, launch the application. If a user wants multiple desktops, I wanted a solution for that. And also, this key point for me was during POCs, if you have a problem during a proof of concept and you've got a ThinKiosk on the desk, where does the user go? He has to suffer through the problem or pull out his whole desktop and put it until it's fixed. What I wanted my solution to do was connect to the desktop, but if you have a problem, hold shift and log off and roll back to the desktop until you fix the problem, and then you go back into the video environment again. So the next question I asked myself, what platform was I going to develop this solution for? As I've already covered off why I don't like Linux as far as hardware, smart cards, printers, scanning, that they're all quite difficult to configure unless you're a Linux guy. Windows administrators are notoriously bad with Linux as well. They don't like it, they're afraid of it. Any opportunity to get, they'll roll back to a platform they like, which would be Windows. And of course, Linux is lower priority in the Citrix release. For example, HDX redirection took over a year for it to become available on Linux. That was an annoyance for me. Whereas with Windows, you're going to have administrators out there in your deployment, and they know Windows. They're comfortable with it. They like it. If you go with a Windows solution, the customer already has AV and antivirus and WSUS and all that infrastructure group policy for managing these devices as well. So why not just leverage that investment already? There are driver issues with Windows, but they're far more easy to fix for a Windows administrator because their Windows drivers. Local applications as well. If you absolutely need to put an application on the endpoint like IRT or give ISOF on client or anything like that, I want to be able to offer that as well via RES, remote seamless, or whatever way you do that. And of course the other one as well, Microsoft software assurance customers are entitled to Windows 10 PC by default. So why not try to leverage that platform? So I decided on Windows ultimately, and I was asking myself, how was I going to get around this? What would be the best way to publish a desktop to the users leveraging what Citrix already have? So I looked at what most vendors have out there, be it Citrix, Microsoft's Run Desktop Services, Quest, VMware View. They all pretty much have a web portal. So that's the platform I decided to leverage, because the web portal in most cases has the most granularity and functionality you can access, and because you just need a browser for it, it's great. Of course, if I was to look at the products I really like, Citrix Web Interface and Cloud Gateway, they do offer the richest options as far as workspace control, multiple desktops. The users can change their password. If you have Citrix single sign-on, they can utilize that too. The Web Interface, for me, the easiest thing to snap straight into. And because the users are using it from home via the Access Gateway, it's already a familiar landing point for users. So with that all in mind, I decided to push ahead with the Web Interface. Just a quick point there, Citrix don't actually offer a very good receiver SDK, and that's why I had to stay away from the receiver and go for the Web Interface. I've been moaning about it quite a lot recently, and Remco was hard at work at breaking everything in the receiver to try to figure out how to get around it. So we may find that this will roll back in 6 months, but we'll see. To be continued. So my ultimate solution was ThinKiosk. It's just a .NET application that is designed to replace Explorer. And inside of .NET, it's just a browser. It's locked down completely so the user has no context menus, can't browse around it. It just presents the Citrix web interface, and from there the user can jump off it themselves. There are some other key features in ThinKiosk we'll cover off in a minute, but I'm just going to give you a quick look and feel of how it looks and where we're going from here. But as I said, ThinKiosk is extremely lightweight. It's .NET Framework 2.0, so it's nearly guaranteed to be installed on your PCs already. It's been designed to manage from group policy, so you already have the infrastructure in place and they know how to do it. It's just a couple of group policy files, you can configure it the way you want, and then off you go. And again, it utilizes the browser installed in Windows already, and it just turns it down, turns off all the configuration settings, and presents it to you with a little more options wrapped in ThinKiosk. It's a free community tool. It's always going to be free. There is no good paid-for solution, in my opinion, so that's why the free solution is put out there. I want you guys to use it, play with it, tell me what's wrong with it, tell me what's right with it, and let's grow it out. This is a community thing. This is for everybody. It'll save us some money. So I'm just going to give you a quick demo of how ThinKiosk looks and feels, and you can go from there. So here is my PC. This is the PC from start to finish, and this is what the user is presented to when they log in. The PC is configured to auto-log in as a guest account or a domain user, and from there the user authenticates on the web interface and they get the desktop from there. All of this is customizable, as I said. You have a site selection here, so if you have multiple environments, if you want to just present the company's homepage, you have a site selection down there. You have a customized title up here where you can put your company name on it, you can put your consulting company if you want to get more advertising. This is configurable, so you can put your own message on there for us what the users want to do. And there are loads of configuration options in here that the users can change themselves, be it display, keyboard, mouse, printer volumes. Like for example on printers, you can enumerate what printers are installed local. If there's a job stuck in the queue, the user can pick it out themselves. If you want to add another printer via group policy and utilize the Citrix printer redirection, it's all in place already. So if we just log in ourselves here, so it's just a web interface. The user clicks on his desktop, and the desktop is configured. I'll explain that now in a second, see what happened there? The web interface logging in. But the desktop is configured to auto-launch full screen, cannot be minimized, and they're working in their desktop until you work away. This is all configured with ICA files. You're all familiar with ICA files and what they can do with the desktop. And here I am in what I would consider the user's desktop. Now, this is a long story. I had to borrow Remco's installation to to get this demo working today. That's why you're not seeing like a lovely Windows 7 look and feel. This is a Server 2003 RT desktop, which you would have seen from it's on at 4.5, but this works also perfectly with 6 and 6.5. It was just a demo failure at the last moment. So that ultimately is ThinKiosk. And once the user is in there, they can't get back. When they log off again, the kiosk is, or if they disconnect, the kiosk is ready for somebody else to use. So the interesting thing you saw there, when as soon as I clicked the desktop, the web interface logged off, and that's a security thing I've built into ThinKiosk. So as soon as the user clicks the desktop, his credentials that were stored in the web interface are removed, he's logged out, and in case he walks away and disconnects, nobody can jump back into his session. As soon as the desktop is launched, the web interface will log off the user that was logged in initially and make it ready for the next person to come along. And that can be turned off, but it's just an extra security value in there. As you can see, the kiosk is ready for somebody else to use. So that is ThinKiosk in a nutshell. I'm just going to walk you through some of the bits and bobs that are in ThinKiosk now, so that you get a more granular feel for it. So, as I said, the security is paramount for ThinKiosk. I wanted to make sure that this was absolutely lock-downable, and you don't have concern once you've put it in that we've made it as secure as possible. It completely restricts the embedded browser. There's no context menu, no scroll bars, no view source, no going back to backspace. It's just stuck where it is. As I said, it reduces the chance of a session hijack by logging the user off as soon as they've launched the desktop. And all of the menus that you see along the top of ThinKiosk can be removed as well. So you can granularly control what you want to present to the users. If you don't want printers, if you don't want keyboard, but you do want mouse and you do want volume, you can configure that in the all of group policy. You can remove everything that you see on the screen, or you can leave it all there. The choice. So as I said, look and feel from an empowering the user point of view. These are the settings I was talking about. They can change the display, the keyboard, the mouse, the print, the volume. They can switch to full screen or window. That's handy if you want to stack a couple of applications down the bottom of the screen. So you can go to window mode and you've got your applications running at the bottom. You've also got custom tools in here as well, which you don't have to publish. But if for example, you want to have Team Viewer, or if you want to have a command to write to the extended write filter, or even just a really for administrators, you can enumerate what's in this custom tools when you do a group policy. So if you want to use it, you can. It's really just giving you more power on the client you want to go to. And you can also script Windows updates or anything like that if you want to present that option to the users. As I said, the multiple site configuration as well, because it leverages the web interface, you can stick in a single sign-on website or an Improvata page if the user needs to unlock the screen or unlock his credentials. You can put in multiple environments if the user needs to go into test something and then jump back to production. Or even if you just wanted to publish the company's web page, the internal web page, until the user gets onto the desktop, you can do that too. So because it's a browser, your opportunities are pretty endless. As I said, the customizations as well. You customize it to suit yourself. So if the customer wants their name up there, it's no problem. It's not written in. You just make a simple group policy change, and you've got your customization. I'm also doing native languages as well. I've had everything from Hebrew to Dutch to Norwegian to Polish, loads of different languages. So if you've come across an implementation and the language isn't already available, you just download an Excel file from me, fill it in, I'll have it in the next release. It's that easy. It's just a table of strings. One thing to note, if the customer does want it done urgently, there is a small fee attached, just because going through and changing those things is a bit of a pain in the ass. If they're willing to wait till the next release, which is normally 6 weeks, that's fine. I won't charge them. But if you need it now, €50, and I'll have it all done for them. From a green computing point of view, when I mentioned power management earlier on, I wanted to make sure the ThinKiosk was power manageable. So with the policies, you can actually configure it to shut down at certain times. So if your workday finishes at 6 p.m., the PCs will all try to turn themselves off. The user gets a 5-minute window to cancel it, they'll log in. If it doesn't, it turns it off. There's also an idle timer as well. So somebody walks away and leaves the office for the day. If the PC goes idle for 3 hours or whatever you configure, it will try to turn itself off. If the user interrupts it, it doesn't shut down. But you've got your power management options there. So yeah, and of course it also allows the user to turn the device off themselves as well. So you got that option too. If the user needs to restart the power or whatever else, you can do that. As I said, I really wanted to leverage what customers already have out there, which is Active Directory. So ThinKiosk can just be deployed with an MSI. It's less than a meg in size, and when you deploy it, it just goes like that. You can manage it with an ADM file that I've written, or a simple offline configuration utility. If you don't want to utilize group policy, you can just configure it with the tool, capture that image, and then ship it off to your image management solution. ThinKiosk extends way beyond its own configuration because it allows you to configure such things in the operating system like auto login, change how the ICA file works, disable the Shift F12 to open up, to reduce your browser window, all that kind of stuff. It also has a rich command line tool if you're into that kind of thing. If you need to change something on the fly for 1 or 2 users, you could just change the command line and the group policy, and the language will change, or whatever suits. It can also be installed on top of a current workstation or as part of a new installation. So if you just want to blanket out your users to all use the VDI solution, you just roll this MSI overnight. The next morning, you all come into the kiosk, and then when you're finished and everybody's happy, you can just reinstall them with Windows XP, including the write filter, or reinstall them with Windows 10 PC. So the choice is yours, really. There's also an administration menu in ThinKiosk. If the administrator needs to figure out what's going wrong, be it IP, be it event logs, be it whatever else, a quick keystroke, Control-Alt-U, and they get prompted for a password. This password can be configured via group policy, which is the default one installed, but anyway. You type your password in, you get a new menu up in the top right, which you can see previously, and this will allow you to change the URL on the fly, open a command prompt Windows Explorer, or from a command prompt you can get anywhere, be it device manager, event logs, anything like that. So that's really just allow administrators to jump in, do what you need to do, and then you can utilise the lock button to remove the admin menu as well. So here's a standard Windows, I think we call it Windows 10 PC. So it's Windows 10 PC. I've installed the receiver, but that's it. That's where we are at the moment. And here I've downloaded a copy of the ADM file and the MSI. So it's literally just a matter of double clicking and off we go. Now you could MSI exec it, and that's it. It's done. Kiosk is installed. Now you have to bear in mind that Remco's laptop is like lightning. This is, it's fast, but on Remco's laptop it's just stupidly fast. So, as I mentioned already, there is an offline configuration tool that you can utilize if you don't want to have to use group policy. I'll just show you how that looks now. So, in here, you've got just a standard Windows-based form for configuring your URL, configuring your title, if you want to have a window mode enabled. This is the log off the web interface from the session launch thing. You've got in the administration menu, you can literally remove whatever you want. It's all there. The unlock password as well, which we talked about earlier on if you want to set that manually. You've got your power saving options in here. The custom tools we mentioned like RDP, Windows updates, whatever else, they can be configured here too. And then a sites list, if you want to populate that sites list at the bottom, it's still a matter of enabling them. You can have up to 5 of them. If you want more, I'll extend it out. I haven't asked for, nobody's ever asked for more than 5, so that's where it is at the moment. And similarly, all of these options are in group policy too. So if we go down to Windows components, I think I've already imported it. No, I haven't. Okay, so in goes our ADM file. And let's make sure we're not filtering, we're not. ThinKiosk settings just appears on the classic configuration. And here you've got all of those checkboxes we said earlier on, disabling the display option, keyboard, mouse, window size, volume. If you want to turn off the restart or shutdown option, if you want to change the title, all that's there. You've got your power management in here. You've got your desktop mode, which we talked about earlier on. Stop tweeting. Loads of, all of those options in a group policy, and you can use that local or on the main deployment. So, in this case, I'm just going to, I'll use group policy to configure this PC and we'll restart. So, I'm just going to configure one URL, which is the name of the server. So /citrix/kiosk. That's the URL I want. I want to change the title, so I'm going to call this hash. Where's your hash? E2E VC kiosk. And I would like to configure the auto login option. So it automatically logs in as the main user. So we're just going to configure that now. So automatically log on, force auto log on. Default username will be kiosk user. Default password will be default domain name will be, and that should be that. So I'll just configure it. Okay, if we restart this or machine, it should now be a kiosk PC. Hopefully. But you know how like demos go.
At 9 a.m.
Yeah, at 9 a.m. particularly.
How are we doing?
And we break to do demo job this morning. And we went to church.
You did what? Sacrificed 4 little children. Demo God.
And the dog. But that's not going to go.
And the waitress from that bloody restaurant.
Well, we didn't offer the food. Because that wouldn't go well.
So as you can see, it's auto logging in as the main account we chose. And I've chosen to do that because I want the user to authenticate on the web interface because it's the most secure method. And once the kiosk user fires up, ThinKiosk will just kick in and redirect the URL over to the web interface, and that's it. We'll get there. Your disk is on the wrong drive. But as you can see, that's it. The kiosk is enabled, and it's up and working. I'll just wing them on this so you can see the bar. But there it is. There's no site selection. I didn't choose it. Everything is installed by default, and we could have turned those options off if we wanted to. So if I now log into myself, off I go to my desktop. Web interface hasn't been configured this time to auto log off. That's an option if you want it. And there I am on my desktop. So it is extremely fast to roll out. Okay. So I just wanted to run down the platforms that I've tested and I support this on. Web interface 3 or 5.3 or 5.4 work perfectly. Access Gateway and Access Gateway Enterprise work perfectly. Citrix VDI in the box has a slight rendering issue that I'm talking to Citrix about. We have a fix for it in a style sheet, so if you need that fix, I'm going to be logging it next week. So it's there. And Citrix Client Gateway Express, I still don't recommend you use it because it's not quite as good as web interface, but when that catches up, we're already ahead of the curve. It works. It also works with Microsoft Remote Desktop Services Web Access, so if you want to do RDS or if you want to do their equivalent of VDI, the name escapes me because it's not very good. And I've also done some little testing with Quest View Workspace and VMware View, but they need more work. So if you do have an implementation like that, I want to talk to you because we need to get this working. But as far as roadmap goes, the upcoming features that are going to be out in 2.1 in the next couple of weeks, control up delete redirection. I'm trying to catch control delete, send it into the session because that's one of the big limits of Windows. Is that control up delete will interact locally. Now you can turn that off with Windows 10 PC, but it still doesn't go to their own machine. So that's something I really want to get in there. Really want to get the VDX extender working as well because it'll allow us to get local applications to present them in the session. So that's a big win as well. PL agent, Citrix receiver support. As I mentioned already, Remco is hard to work as he always does. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes up with that one. Secure or pass-through desktop mode. So that's if you absolutely have to have your users log in as themselves on all the PCs. There are a couple of issues with web interface and pass-through. It's more to do with the receiver. I need to beat somebody up in Citrix to tell me why this is not working when it's going to ThinKiosk. So that is on its way. Caffeine, this is a little program that I've been working on recently. If you need a session to be open constantly as a presentation machine or a screen in the reception, Caffeine just makes sure that your Citrix session never locks. So it just sends and interrupts every now and again. I'm going to build that into ThinKiosk if you need it. Language selection as well, because your customers may roam from country to country. If they want to change the language, they'll have a drop-down box to do that. Everything will appear in the language. A clock. This may sound silly, but I'll tell you why. One of the first people who got on board with ThinKiosk, it's a 900 seat site out in the UK, and they deployed Windows 10 PC via deployment services. They didn't fix the time zone, but they configured power management. So all their PCs turned off at 1 p.m. So that little clock, it was something that they screamed for because, you know, it just removed the stupidity of the admin. They blamed me for it, but realistically, if you can't use WDS, why are you giving it to me? So anyway, there's also going to be some further enhancements around the offline configuration tool to change the shell over to ThinKiosk. That's going to be enabled, you know, so you can just do it in the menu if you don't want it. You're also going to be able to configure all the login in that box as well. So that will be a one size fits all window for configuring an offline kiosk. I didn't want to go down the enterprise support route because this is a free tool. But a lot of customers' feedback was, it's great, it's a free tool, but if we implement it, I'm afraid it's going to go away. So for me, I'm willing to offer enterprise support for this. I don't encourage people to, because there's no need to, this tool isn't going anywhere. But if the customer wants that comfort that this product is going nowhere, I'll take the money off. It's as simple as that. If they do go down enterprise support route, I'm going to give them notified software updates, SLA-based software support, 2 personal customizations per contractual year. So if they want to change something about the kiosk and I don't want to put it into every implementation, they'll allow them to do that. And high priority feature requests if they need something in, if they will. I'm only charging €3 per desktop per year because I don't really want to make money off this. I want it to be a community tool and everybody to leverage it because we haven't got a solution in this market space for a free one. But if they do want to go down this route, the prices are there and they can use it. I'm also willing to give you guys a kickback as well because if they absolutely need it, 10% is yours if you refer them on. You can give them back to the customer or you can take it for yourself. I don't care. As I said, I don't want to make money off this product. It's a free solution. I'm just going to go through a couple of questions that come up a lot, but I haven't had time to blog yet, so this is information that you guys only know. Is ThinKiosk open source? Well, yes, I tout it as open source, but it really depends. The source code isn't available for download because if somebody wants to change something about the product, and I think it's a good idea, I'm going to put it in myself because I think everybody will benefit from it. But if they want to do something that I really don't like, I'll give them the source code and let them do whatever they want. But I'll remove my branding from it first, so that I don't look bad when they remove it. So it is open source. You can have the source code if you want it, but I really prefer if you have a good suggestion to put it in and let everybody benefit from it. So that's what I say. Why .NET Framework 2.0? Because it ships with Windows 10 PC, it just makes installation a little faster. What Windows operating system do I suggest? Either XP or ThinPC are fine, but use the extended write filter because that removes anything right to the operating system. If you do have a really bad breakout, turn everything off. It's gone. What login method do I suggest? I really suggest you use a generic login to get to the web interface. It is much faster than everybody logging in as themselves, and then from that point, let the user log in. But you can use the other way around. But if you have a choice, and if the customer goes for it, just use a generic account to log in, and then from that point, the user can do it themselves. As I said, I covered this earlier on, but how would you install it? But in a POC, just install it over the top of all PCs, and then when you're comfortable that everybody's happy and everybody wants to carry on using it, reinstall with a fast and clean operating system with no applications on it, because it'll do it like that. Do I recommend you use the desktop viewer or the standard WFI-CA32 rendering method of Citrix receiver? I don't use the desktop viewer. There are security issues with the desktop viewer. I'll be covering down a blog post in the next couple of weeks. That bar at the top is really stupid because the users think that their screen is locked. They can click up, click home, and they're back on the user's desktop. Don't use the desktop viewer until they've given you the option to control that bar. As I said, Web Interface Cloud Gateway. Use Web Interface. It has a lot more functionality. When Cloud Gateway catches up, we'll already have support in there for it. Which browser? Latest and greatest. So IE9 for PC, IE8 for XP. Don't go any lower because I'm always going to try to get the latest browser working as soon as possible. And the last question, I've had a couple of vendors ask me if they can stick it in with their Thin client infrastructure. If you guys want to do that, that's fine with me. But I don't want Wise, HP, or anybody, or IGEL putting this on their own platform. That's not what this is for. That's not their product. It's your product. So if you want to put it inside of the image, you install it. They're not to do it. So that's pretty much it. If you want to learn more about ThinKiosk, give me any feedback or anything like that. There's just a little link in my blog. I've tried to cover off as much of the getting over the hump at the start with as much documentation as possible, but it's all there, so it's just andrewmorton.a/ThinKiosk, and you can pretty much access anything I've done so far. So yeah, that's it for me. thank you very much for listening. I really do appreciate you coming to the Sunday morning slot. I know I talk very fast, so I'm sorry. This is my first presentation, so I was a little bit nervous. So, if you have anything that you'd like to ask, or if you have any suggestions for where you can see this product going, feel free to shout them out now. If you want to talk to me later, happy to do that too. But I really want to fix this, get this program working for everybody and make it something that it's just a no-brainer. You just stick it in.
2 questions. Is it a shell replacement program? So you don't need to, you can set it in a GPO then?
You can set it in a GPO. I cheated there because I ran a registry file just before I restarted the ThinPC, but all you do is change that GPO option for Explorer, which you'd normally do for Workspace Manager or any other product like that, for ThinKiosk instead. And the new version of the offline installer will actually do it for you. Just press the button and it'll redirect you.
Okay. Second question, are you planning to make a Linux version?
No.
No. Okay.
That's really just for my. I'm not a coder. I'm not a programmer. I did a little bit in college, and if you come to my blog before you realise that my code is quite often convoluted, I'll take the long way around. But I'll get there. Do you know that way? So for me to invest in developing this for Linux, that would be a very steep learning curve for me. So I don't plan on doing it at the moment. If there is a really big use case there, I'll consider it. But at the moment, for me, it's just Windows.
There is a use case.
There is, okay. Yeah, but
because consider I'm a service provider, so I can provide my customers with ThinKlients with my own Linux version on it, with, for example, ThinKiosk for it to lock down everything.
All right. Okay.
And otherwise, I have licensing issues with Microsoft, and I cannot do that. With,
I understand. Okay, we'll have a chat after this. I'll see what I can do. It won't be done quickly because it's a learning curve for me.
Yeah.
I just about managed .NET framework, never mind anything else. So, yeah, that's fine. No problem. We'll talk later. Is there anybody else? Any feedback? Or?
Yeah, the demo.
Well, at least it happened. Okay, well, that's it. Thanks very much, guys, for coming.